All right, guys, welcome back to SDR number 15.
That's the 1-5, or for the Spanish speakers out there, quince.
Are you sure it's not Diez y Cinco?
Yes.
Sounds like
that's what I would have said a
couple
episodes ago.
That's what the white girls told us.
Right.
Anyways, Soccer Dad Radio, we are back here. It's been a little bit. We've had some crazy lives going on, so we're back in front of the mics. Good thing. Ready
Good to be
talk.
back.
And we're on location in Norco right now. We're at BAM Fitness. It's Balance and Movement Fitness.
Correct.
And we're sitting here with the owner, Nathan Longcrier. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you for coming out to do this at BAM Fitness. My name is Nathan Longcrier, owner, founder, like you just said. I had this vision to open a training facility really with one athlete in mind, and it was a soccer athlete. And if it's even more narrowed down, it's really looking at female soccer athletes and how we can reduce the risk of non-contact injuries. My background is I'm a certified athletic trainer. I've worked at Cal State Fullerton for 22 years.
Wow, 22.
22 years, and so I've worked with our women's soccer team, men's soccer team, and for me, opening this place and having the vision was that I would not have to see these athletes, these female soccer athletes, tear their ACL. I've worked with, and now that I've went back and started counting, somewhere between 250 and 300 ACL recons from the time they have surgery all the way until they return back onto the field.
Wow.
So here now in the last 5 to 7 years, there is a movement performance analysis that was created at USC by Dr. Chris Powers. Really, for me, that's what we started looking at Cal State Fullerton, is what are these athletes doing to be at such a high risk? And so with this movement analysis, we know the biomechanics are a huge part in what contributes to these non-contact injuries. And so with that, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, let's open BAM Fitness, Balance and Movement. And sometimes I'm like, was BAM Fitness truly the best name? I like balance and movement. I think it's super important in all sports. But for us, we're more than just fitness. It really is a performance center. And so it's one of those.
And if you guys can hear right now, actually, our daughters, Mackenzie and Riley, are both going through the fitness academy right now. They actually both went through that, the analysis that Nate was just talking about. They both went through it, and they were both candidates for the academy. Showed that they had, a high risk of tearing the ACL. So you go through that initial analysis, and then Nate has a program, a fitness academy. It's 12 weeks, right?
12 weeks.
12 weeks, and that'll strengthen and kind of aim at correcting that,
The
the strength
biomechanics.
in that area that's around it.
So basically what you're saying is, as far as the biomechanics, that maybe the females they're not moving properly. Or they just move differently.
That's what I'd like to say. They move different. And so that's the thing when we look at research, and I'm really heavily research based, so you'll hear me say it a lot. Female soccer athletes are 8 to 10 times more likely to tear their ACL than a male soccer athlete playing the exact same sport.
Okay.
And so that's what it's interesting over these 22 years of myself working with Division I athletes. You can watch a male soccer player and you watch a female soccer player, and it's almost like you're watching two completely different athletes, the way they move. And so if we look at motor learning, and what motor learning shows is that men and women move different. And so this is even when we look at twins that are, not identical, but they're fraternal twins, that you have these kids that same genes, but they end up moving differently. And so what I try to do in here is we're trying to implement these female athletes to use more of a hip strategy without me saying I want you to move like a boy.
Okay.
Right.
Right, yep. Yeah.
So.
And it was pretty cool. I got to watch part of the analysis and the detail that goes into it and the time.
Right.
You put these sensors all over their body.
Correct.
And then you were able to show us some results right after But it probably takes a couple to 3 days to get the full report,
right.
just because there's so much entailed with it. It's not a simple process as far as soon as it's done, you get your results.
Correct. It's not like the software that we're using is amazing. It's semi software. It's out of Germany. But what we're doing with the movement performance analysis, like what you're saying, it's not that we can just video it and it shoots out a report. And so it does take time. Like if we do a running analysis or a gait analysis on the treadmill, we put the markers on, same sensors, we do it. But as soon as they step off, we hit record and it records every moment, But those have been already implemented. Lots of people have looked at running and walking gait analysis. So it's a time-intensive thing on just putting the report together. But for me, I take pride in when I do the report, I want to make sure that, this is truly geared, whether it's to Mackenzie or if it's to Riley or any of these other athletes. I want to go, okay, what are their mechanics and how can we change them?
Right.
And I know it's kind of hard for the listener on the radio, but if you guys know, we do have a YouTube channel. We do record these interviews, so there will be a video up. I'll put the video of this interview up, but I'll also, in the lower corner, I'm going to try to put the analysis, just so people, if they watch or want to go to the YouTube channel, just to get an idea of what it is. We'll kind of show you what the analysis is, where they put the lights on in front of the camera and do all the movements and whatnot, so that way you guys can kind of visually see, and then also you can see the fitness academy going on in the background, just the different stretches the girls are going through right now.
Speaking on our BAMFit Academy, it's really the foundational level of BAM Fitness. With the BAMFit Academy, what we all say in here, the whole staff, is that it starts at the foundation. Just like any building, the foundation's often overlooked, but unless you have a strong foundation, the walls are not going to be able to stay up, the roof's not going to stay up. So here we say, let's do the movement performance analysis, let's see where they're at, let them go through the academy. So our academy is a 12-week program. It's 4 weeks of activation. So activation's really important, because what we want to do is we want our athletes to truly work the muscles that we're trying to get them to work. Like earlier, we were talking about someone having calf soreness. Well, calf soreness is not really what we're trying to work if we're working on our activation. So for us and our trainers in here, we need to make sure that we know our athletes are using the correct muscle. So then it's letting them know, because we know all athletes, if they're competitive and we say we want you to do A through Z, they're going to do it whether they cheat getting through it or not.
Exactly.
And so that's what's really important. And with our academy, that's where we keep our class sizes small, as you can see if we're watching the video, but we have one instructor to no more than 6 athletes, so we can really look at the biomechanics and the motor learning component of it.
Right.
So that was the first 4 weeks.
The first 4 weeks activation. Then the second 4 weeks, now that the muscles are activated, and we're really talking the glute max, glute medius. And so those are the larger muscle of your butt.
That's the butt for anybody that's not like medically.
The junk in the trunk.
Yeah.
There you go. And a little small butt muscle that controls your pelvis. And super important, but if you're just doing strength training alone, usually it's not targeted.
Right.
But so our second 4 weeks, so weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8 are truly based on heavy strength training. Then our last 4 weeks of the academy go into performance training.
Okay.
And so the performance training, now that's where we really look at, now that they've went through the activation, they have the adequate strength, now can we get them to move the way we want them to move? And for me, and here at BAM Fitness, we know in 12 weeks we can change the movement pattern. But what we really want to see is how long do they retain what we've coached them.
Right.
So in here we start off and you'll hear lots of feedback starting off, and we gradually take the feedback away because we want them to self-identify or have other athletes in the class go, ooh, here, your knee just collapsed in. Or they're able to recognize it where we don't have to be telling them all the time. So then when we go out on the field and we watch them in a year from now, they still have the proper mechanics, and it's not something that they were just coached into for 3 months.
So like take Mackenzie, she was having issues with like her cut, right? It was really bad. It was giving way. So she's shows like there's a high risk, So she goes through the 12-week academy, and then we do another analysis at the end of the 12-week.
Correct.
Now, when you do that next analysis, you should see improvement?
We should see improvement.
Yeah.
I want to say we will, absolutely.
Okay.
So far, we've been open a year, and on average, we have each of our athletes move up approximately 10 points.
Okay.
And so the scoring system is 50 is the highest. And so what we know is if our athletes score between 45 to 50, that's considered low risk. 36 to 44 is moderate risk. Anything 35 or below is high risk.
Okay.
So we have a lot of our athletes come in and say they're at 33, 34. So they're still in that high risk category, but then after 12 weeks, now they come out and they're at 40, 41, 42. But on an average, they're improving by about 10 points.
Right.
But we've had some of our athletes that scored low coming in, but it was just the cutting mechanics. So we've actually had 2 or 3 athletes improve by almost 20 points. That's 40%.
That's pretty significant, yeah.
Super significant. And they look like a different athlete leaving here. And for me, that's what I want to be able to hear. I want to hear the parents, the coaches go, oh my God, our athletes are moving better.
Right.
They may not understand when I'm saying knee valgus, pelvic drop, but if the coaches can look at it and they're like, hey, our athletes are moving more efficiently and they're performing well, then that's what I really want to see.
Well, and that's an interesting one, is the cut, because it's never really properly taught how to cut.
Yeah,
like
right.
You're not like shown like this is the way you cut. It's just, hey, this is, cut and make the movement, just go. But that's such a crucial piece of it, because your body's just shifting so much and the weight is just going back and forth. And now that I saw it, in the analysis, once you see it, then you're kind of like, oh, wow, okay.
Right.
Now I see what he's talking about. The cut is there. So.
And I don't know if that's learned from coaches. I mean, they're not doing it on purpose, but I don't think they know the proper mechanics to be teaching how to cut properly.
Most
right.
coaches aren't,
Exactly.
have a medical background and
Right.
whatnot.
For sure.
And so that's where, for me, with this, I think it is a delicate topic when you're talking performance also, because what I'm looking at is, can we prevent these injuries? And absolutely we can prevent or significantly reduce. Mm-hmm. We can't prevent everything, so that's our disclaimer.
Yes.
Right? But the thing what I was talking about, when we have an athlete come in and they're full on sprint and they're going to decelerate and say cut to the right and they plant on their left foot, if their foot's already turned in, it just puts them at such a bad angle for injury, but also performance. If their knee collapses in, now you're not able to use the largest muscle of our body, our glute max, the big butt muscle, to explode. But I've went to lots of different training conferences, and when you have a lot of these elite training coaches coaching, they do kind of coach dropping the knee in. And so the thing is are we looking at 1/100th of a second faster, 1/10th of a second faster by dropping the knee in? And so that's where, for me, I am really curious to see, as we get these athletes performing biomechanically the way we want. I mean, right now, the feedback we're getting from all the coaches, oh my God, our athletes are so much better after having gone through the program. Mm-hmm. But it's things that I would like to still be able to use timers and see, okay, what was their 40 test, what was their T test times before doing it, and now what is it now?
Be a good additional comparison.
Right.
But like what I was telling an athlete last week, I'm like, we were going back and forth. Okay, is this prevention or is this performance? This is the athlete I'm working with in here. And I'm like, well, if you're not playing because you're injured, then you're not performing.
Right.
True.
So this is, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
here, this is what we would really like is, to be able to have the correct mechanics. But sometimes athletes, if they have no issue and they're performing super well, it's hard to change things, whether it's superstition. Like for us, I've had coaches say, Nathan, do you want our athletes to be slower? No, I don't want your athletes to be slower. I want them to be more efficient in their movement patterns. And they may be slower, say, for a period of time as they're learning how to move the weight efficiently. And so, but overall, if you're using your glute muscle and you're using your quads and they're balanced, you have to be faster.
Right.
So I think going back to the preventative side, at Cal State Fullerton, you had talked a little bit to us about the team that you were working with, and how many injuries you had, and then you implemented this process, right? The analysis. Right. Tell us a little bit about that, how that went.
Well, at Cal State Fullerton, so we've screened our women's soccer team, our women's basketball, men's teams, and what we've done is based off this same research, we just try to establish, okay, where they are in terms of their risk level. We had implemented a dynamic warm-up that was implemented with our female soccer program. 1 year, soccer, we have lots of ACL injuries, but 1 year there were 6 girls that, out of a roster of 22, 25, something like that had tore their ACL. But we implemented the truly like what we're doing here at BAM Fitness, but also the dynamic warm-up. Well, the next season, it was the first season that we had not one knee injury. And so whether you equate that to just a coincidence, a fluke, or, I've been there 22 years and it's the only season we had not one injury. And so for us, it's just making sure that we're able to get the athletes to truly buy in on this is why it's so important to do the dynamic warm-up properly, and also the activation exercises prior to practice, prior to games, just to make sure that your muscles are primed and ready for competition.
And hearing that, it almost makes you think that every team out there, every coach, should bring their team in here and go through a proper activation just to help on the preventative side.
Correct. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying just to set up, especially since we've partnered with Arsenal as the official sports med and performance provider, we're going to do coaching clinics where we go through our dynamic warm-up, and we're just going to say, here, this is our BAM Fit curriculum. This is what Arsenal is going to go ahead and go through with their warm-ups. And so hopefully when we get the coaches in here and we're able to explain, hey, this is why we're going through the warm-up, because it's not that we expect all the coaches to know why they're there to coach.
Yes.
Here, how can you be a great soccer athlete, and how can we win? How can tactically we make you better, and how can you excel to get to the next level? And so for this, if we can be a part of that in the entire soccer community, that's what
another piece. Yeah.
It's another piece. That's what we would love to be able to do.
Well, I think it's so huge. We were in here. When was it? Probably 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, when the teams came in and you had the demonstration, and Nate was kind of explaining all this to us, and Matt and I looked at each other. We're like, well, after you take the analysis, how can you? Number one, how can you not take the analysis? And then number two, if you are high risk, how can you not graduate and go into the 12-week program?
Yeah, especially if your child is playing at a high level like this and is focused on going on to soccer in college and further on. Just the ACL injury, you hear of it nonstop anyways. Right. It's like, the forbidden word, but like you'd be silly not to invest in your child in this way. You can, don't buy him a sweatshirt next time at Surf Cup or something. Like start investing in the player and your child. This is something that's going to benefit them. And it's like, I know when we watched it, we all sat here and watched, I think our first one was Carly.
Yes.
And Carly was a high risk, and her dad just kind of sat there and was like, wow. Like, okay, I'm signing up.
I think the next day he actually scheduled his movement performance analysis, the MPA.
Yes.
And then Mackenzie and Riley jumped on with their analysis that following Saturday, and sure enough, they were high risk. And I said, I'm not gonna be that guy that comes in and my kid's high risk, and I'm gonna be like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. And then sure enough, in 2 months she tears.
Yes.
I don't want to be that person. And the shoot, I lost where I was going.
There's your train of thought.
Dang,
no,
that happens.
Yes.
What you're saying, and like for me, like I don't want to scare parents, and I don't want.
That's where I was going.
The fear.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Fear thing. That was the big thing with Carly's dad was, I saw him kind of like his face, and you were talking to him, and you're like, hey, it's not like, this isn't to scare you. This isn't bad news. Like, you've been playing like this for however many years.
Yep.
You've been doing this, so nothing's new. We're just telling you, hey, down the road, this could happen. We can fix it.
Right.
And that's where I was sold. I was like, okay, that's fine,
And so, like, with that, like what I said, I've had 2 or 3 athletes, I tell them their score and they cry. And that, for me, it's not what we're doing. And really what I wanted, like what you just said, I would love for all the athletes to be tested and for us to really have a baseline. What are the norms for 14-year-old ECNL girls?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? What are the? I know what our Division I athletes are scoring. The majority of all of our Division I soccer athletes are in that moderate risk category. So they're somewhere between 36 to 44.
Okay.
We will have on a team of 22, 25 athletes, we're going to have 3 to 4 of them that score in the low risk. That means they have phenomenal biomechanics, right? And then we're going to have that 4 or 5 of them that score high risk. And so, but since opening here, we have so many of our female athletes that are scoring below 35, which is a high risk.
Right.
For us also, like with the research that's been done at USC, like what I said, it's 45 to 50 is considered low risk, but with my own, it's not been published research, but I have not had any of my athletes have a non-contact injury that scored 40 or above.
Okay.
And so that's why here at BAM Fitness, if we have any of our athletes, if they score 40, I say, hey, you can still, if you would like to go into the academy, it's still our foundational level. But if not, then you're more than welcome to do our power, agility, strength, speed, or you can do our semi-private training where it's programmed directly to whatever your needs are. If you're a keeper, it may be different than if you're the forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
In terms of, okay, as a forward, you need to be able to accelerate quick moving forward, right? As a goalie, now you have to be able to move side to side and you have to be able to jump high. You know, so we just program them different. But still, the biomechanics, it's so important, and it's the one thing that I think for all these years have just been overlooked.
Well, I think it is huge because you can have the athlete that continues to go to the gym maybe on their own or train with a trainer, but if their foundation, as you say, isn't there, if their movement is wrong, then I think it's, I don't want to say a waste of time, but I think you really need to go back to the basics and make sure that your movement, your biomechanics are correct.
I agree.
Well, it's fully dependent. I mean, your whole game is dependent on your movement.
Yes.
So you need to perfect that. Like that needs to be, that needs to come before anything else.
Definitely.
Well, this is like, for me as the owner, I was so set in my cookie cutter way, like what you're just saying. I had parents come in here and they paid the money to do the movement performance analysis and their kids scored a 25. And I'm like, honestly, you really, really need to go into our BAM Fit Academy. And they're like, Nate, I don't want to do the BAM Fit Academy. All I want to do is speed and agility. And so I'm like, but for me at that time, I was like, so this is what and I still believe in it, like what we're saying. But I'm like, you need to do this. They're like, nope, we want speed and agility. So then they went somewhere else and did speed and agility.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, for me, I'm like, now I'm like, I still highly recommend if they're there. But if they want to do speed and agility, we bring them in here and we try to watch what they're doing as much as we can. And then we're able to develop a relationship with the athlete or the parents, because the last thing that we want is anyone to think, okay, you come here, we have the cameras and it's like bells and whistles and it's just a sales pitch.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely not. And that's why, like,
it's not a gimmick. There's nothing gimmicky about your ACL at all. And that's what I'm like convinced now.
Right.
Like, I mean, I was trying to find this video on Instagram. So I sent this to the girls after I saw this the other day. It's Alba from Cal State Fullerton.
Right.
There's a video. I don't know if you saw this one, Ryan.
Oh yeah,
so,
you sent
where
that to me.
she's in the gym and you're throwing her a soccer ball, and she's kicking the ball back to you, and she breaks down in tears.
Right.
Her caption says, "Here's a video of me kicking a soccer ball for the first time yesterday," and you see her like just
the raw emotion
of just kicking a soccer ball again after coming back
I
from
have
her ACL.
goosebumps right now, like the hair on my arms.
You watch the poor girl, just like the tears, like this has been her life, and you can't help but think of your daughter the same way.
Right.
Like this has been her life for how long? For her to tear an ACL and go out that way, and then have this kind of emotion coming back, that's a serious thing. That was serious, and I sent that out, and I like you said, it gave me goosebumps. It's crazy.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Alba, she's amazing. She's a great athlete. She was a 3-year starter at Cal State Fullerton as a freshman.
Oh, wow.
And
impressive.
and so now, but she'll be back shortly. But yeah, when you see that video that she posted, it is true, just raw emotion. And for me, working with athletes, like the joy of being able to get someone back, I've loved it. Like I said, 250 to 300 athletes to be able to work with it. But there are lots of tears even on my side.
Yep.
Opening BAM Fitness, I was hoping that I wouldn't see any ACL recons.
Yep.
It would be just all preventative. You come in here, we do this, and now we drastically reduce it.
Right.
But what we're seeing still in here is now we're getting more and more athletes that have been discharged from physical therapy at 5 months. We had one at 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, but they're not ready to play.
Okay.
And so we know they're not ready to play. And so they come in here, and now I've had, 5, 6, 7 ACL recons. And what truly amazes me is I've read all the research. We know that the highest age for ACL injuries are 13 to 18. Females are 8 to 10 times more likely than males. But I've read it, but I've never seen these actual little athletes. And it's crazy to have them come in here. I tore my ACL at 12.
Wow.
And last night, same thing. Have an athlete in here, tore my ACL at 12, had surgery. She thought she hurt her knee again. She comes in. I get to do the eval, educate her and the parents, and then the parents are hugging me. The dad honestly kissed me.
Okay.
But it was one of those things. I'm like,
on the cheek?
On the full lips.
Okay.
No,
Right.
on the cheeks. But it was one of those things. I went home last night and I'm like, God, that's exactly why we've opened this.
Yeah.
To
right.
truly make a difference in people's lives. But going back to like when you did the MPA and you're like, hey, how could I not do this?
Right.
It
was a no-brainer.
For me, so the very first person that I did the MPA on besides Allie, she's amazing. Allie White is one of our movement specialists and trainers here that runs our academies. But she did the movement. She was the first one, but the second one was on my daughter.
Okay.
My daughter plays soccer, and this is the other thing. I don't want this to happen to her because as much as the ACL injury is a physical injury, it's just as big a psychological blow.
Yep.
Like you're seeing in that video.
Yep.
Okay, here's a soccer ball.
Yeah.
And it brings full-on tears.
Well, I know,
absolutely.
we were introduced to you by, actually Ryan had passed me your info because Mackenzie was having a knee problem. She was in pain, and there was no contact, no nothing. It was really weird. She just, went to a soccer game with Ryan, so I don't know what Ryan was letting her do, but she comes home hurt.
It wasn't in Vegas, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
But that's where she was going.
Yes.
We had Vegas kick off ECNL.
It was the hammer to the knee. The hammer?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, she mouths off.
Yes.
But it was Vegas in a couple weeks, and you could see it messing with her, and she wanted to go to the doctor. I just was sick of going to the family doctor, so I was like, yeah, let's try Nate out. So we came up here, and you did your run through,
right?
And it came out that it was, the bruising behind the kneecap or whatever, inflammation and stuff.
Right.
And just from that car ride home, you could see her mind at ease. She thought it was the end of the world. She was thinking meniscus. She's seen me go through the surgeries and then hearing ACLs and whatnot. But just, I think when you're an athlete and you have pain, the mental side of it's huge.
It is.
Because your first thought is I can't play.
Right.
And that's all you want to do is play. So, I mean, when she got off that table and left, she had such a relief, that it wasn't that. So now it's even though she's not feeling the pain, I'm getting relief out of it, knowing that she was at high risk, and now watching her go through these exercises and strengthen core and everything else, I'm feeling a sense of relief, knowing that she's actually getting the proper exercise, and it's not the team going to some CrossFit gym or a high school coach that's a baseball coach that doesn't know, he's just there because he's the teacher and assigned. They're getting proper fitness right now on an important, crucial piece of their day-to-day.
It's not that we're knocking CrossFit. I mean, there's some good about CrossFit, but I think when you bring a team in to that environment and they don't know the background of the player or they don't have enough coaches to really watch them, I think that kind of poses a problem.
Yeah, it's nothing against CrossFit at all, but CrossFit's its own thing.
It's
its own sport.
Yes.
This is specifically catered to soccer.
Yes.
Women's soccer.
Exactly.
And again, it's not just women's soccer. Boys too need to come in here and get the analysis done. But like you said, girls are more prone to it, and that's still still, I don't know why that still like surprises me that girls are more prone to it. I don't know if it's because I think girls are more flexible and so they should be, like there's more movement and stuff, but.
We'll see, like hips, but they're so young it's not even hips.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yeah.
And so with this, the majority of these girls that we're seeing, that I'm seeing in here, it's not that they've even went through puberty. This is before. And so it's one thing now when you're 17, okay, now your body's developed a little bit, your hips are a little bit wider. With the knee, we call it the Q angles changed. But that's, I mean, really it's biomechanic. There's so much research on this because it's been a hot topic. They call it the ACL epidemic, in female soccer. But it's like in the presentation when I put that picture up there of all the U.S. women's national team players, present and past, and you're like, there's like 12 or 14 of them, and you're talking that's a small little group of women that are playing soccer, and they've experienced this. The good thing is, the good thing is that we have a solution that can correct it. You know what I mean? And so it's getting the parents to truly understand what we're doing, why we're doing it. It's not speed and agility. It's not true just strength and conditioning. It's starting foundation level.
That's why I think this podcast is it's going to be very beneficial, because the parents that couldn't be here that night, or for someone just learning about your facility, this information I think is going to go a long way with them.
Now, what about other sports? Certainly not just soccer, right?
This applies to every sport. Like I said, we do this same screening on basketball players. So when we do our movement performance analysis, it would equate into any cutting sport. So whether we've had rugby players, we've had lacrosse players come in.
Try to name a sport other than. I'm trying to think of something where you wouldn't cut.
The only thing, like right now, we have 2 swimmers
Baseball?
in here.
That's not a sport. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, you would cut.
Yes, you would.
But
yeah.
I thought you were talking swimming.
Oh,
not a sport. No, but 2 swimmers. But baseball, the whole thing is that we do see ACL injuries in baseball players. It's not near as high as our soccer athletes, but any of that side-to-side movement, we actually have pitchers that come down, and now it's the same thing. They have full wind-up. Now
the way they come down on their foot.
They come down onto their foot, whether their hips are not strong, their knee collapses in, same thing.
Yep.
And so, but with this, it's like, it's not just about the ACL injury. If we're really looking still at soccer, the 3 most common injuries in soccer: ankle sprain, hamstring strain, and an ACL ligament tear.
Okay.
And so this analysis really addresses all 3 of those in terms of the biomechanics. We had one athlete, and they don't all go this way, and I don't know if I even showed you the picture. We had this male athlete come in. He does the MPA. We go through it. It's on a Saturday. I score it. On top of it, I get done that night, right?
Yep.
So I send it to the parents. This is as Allie and I are scoring it. He comes out. He's in the high risk. He's right in borderline being high risk, moderate risk, But look at his angle, look at his ankle, the way it rolls every time he goes to cut. So I'm texting her, and I'm like, so we're just really concerned about his ankle. And they're like, well, we're not quite sure, he trains 4 days a week, like all these athletes right now training 4 days a week. So that was on Saturday night. So on Monday, I get a text message back. Hey, Nate, your movement performance analysis was 100% accurate. He broke his right ankle today.
Oh, wow.
So no, that was one of the.
That's what I'm talking
no,
about.
but that's why I'm saying they don't all go that way.
Right.
It's actually been the only one in a year that we say this. Not sure if we're going to be able to go through it. 2 days later, then it was Allie and I talking. Oh, this super high risk. Look at this. And since then, it's the only person that we've had move like that. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, so we have a great picture video. It's it's one of those things. It's like, but they don't all happen that way. And that's where, like I tell, like in that presentation here, I tell the parents, I tell the coaches, it's like when we do this analysis, it gives us a true, clear picture of the way the athlete's moving.
Yeah.
And for me, like I'm saying, it's not to throw fear. You've been moving like this, whether it's 6 years, 10 years, 12 years. It'd be better if it was only 4, 5, 6 years. It's quicker for us to change it rather than 15 years. And it's like, it's really hard to change a movement after that long. But I lost my train of thought now. But with the movement, it's like if we can just get them to move efficiently, it's like everything.
Yeah, it's not to scare, but like it's almost like you're just gonna keep rolling the dice then.
Exactly.
Like you're just gonna ignore it and keep rolling the dice, and like, hey, until like I'm not gonna pay attention to it. Let's just hope it doesn't, or maybe I'll try to work with her on my own.
Yeah.
You know, like
because I'm qualified.
Yeah.
I watched that YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yes.
I listened to the podcast.
Which one?
Soccer Dad Radio podcast.
Oh,
so I think I can now identify these biomechanics.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So, and that's just it. I mean, that's why we want to educate people and help people out, try to give them, the best knowledge they can with their kids in sports. Because I mean, we're navigating. Like this is you have to navigate. It's a huge landscape. There's all kinds of things. So we're trying to highlight every aspect of it. And I mean, definitely this we're excited about. That's why we jumped in here with you. But
as far as the workouts are concerned too, in this 12-week program, I asked Riley how she likes it, and she loves it. She's been through so many different like workout programs, CrossFit being one, speed and agility, just you name it, she's probably done it. And this one she really enjoys because she knows that it's going to help her in the future as far as building that foundation, getting those motor mechanics set properly. So I think that's pretty cool.
I'm just super thankful that both of you trust us here at BAM Fitness to really bring your daughters. And I tell every single parent when they come in here, thank you so much for trusting us to work with your kid, whether it be their son, daughter, because it's an investment that you guys are, and you trust what we've told you.
Right.
And so that's for me, when everything that we do here, I want it to be evidence-based research. If I tell you this is what it is, okay, it's backed by evidence, not just, okay, I was a fast runner, now I'm going to show you how to be a fast runner.
Right.
Yep.
I want it to be evidence-based. This is why we're doing what we're doing. And having our staff, I think with the academy and like listening, to what Riley's saying, it's like having Allie be the instructor, but already living through it. Allie,
I think that helps big time too.
It does.
Like she's been there, done that.
Yeah.
And we will have her on the show too.
Yeah. Allie's coming on.
Yeah,
she's
coming on.
To pretend like she's not, but she's coming on.
She will be on there shortly.
And we need to have
Barbie
too.
Yes,
she's
correct.
another. So she's also here with BAM Fitness. She has torn her ACL a couple times. Right?
Couple times.
Yep.
And she played.
She played at UCLA for 2 years, and then she played at Cal State Fullerton.
So another, speaking from experience. And I think that's why the girls trust her. The girls love Allie. They keep talking about her and stuff because she's younger and she's there with them, been there, done that. So it's kind of like they put the trust in it. But I mean, if any parent just comes in here and listens to your presentation and kind of you just gets a feel of what it's all about,
right?
They'll be like us. They'll just be like, all right, let's do it. Let's try it out.
It just so happened I was in the Arsenal office one day, and I was talking to Chris Kingston, and he heard through the grapevine or something that my daughter Riley was having some hamstring issue. And he's like, I'm going to text you Nate's number. He's now the ECNL DA trainer. So you need to get Riley in to see her. And then we connected.
Right.
And I brought her in. And this is circling back to that trust. I just want to let you know, I didn't tell you that night, but your eval was very comprehensive. And the trust factor was immediate upon that evaluation. And with what you came up with for Riley as far as getting her ready in 2 weeks for Vegas. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's a big thing. Like, I think a lot of our listeners, listen to us for, honesty and advice, and we'll be frank with everyone. Like, we're like, we don't hide anything. We don't beat around the bush. Like, we tell it as it is, and it's definitely one of the better things. Like Ryan said, it's just going off of advice and trust.
Yeah, that gut feeling. I mean, I could have very easily taken her to our family doctor,
right?
And he would have been like, "Oh, well, I think it's this."
Put some ice packs on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Take
and she's not going to be ready in 2 weeks. She just needs, and don't stretch or anything like that.
Right.
And then we come in and you're like, you know what? You hear that all the time, not to stretch that hamstring injury, but you put Riley on a stretching regimen. And it was because of maybe the grade of the
hamstring strain.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what I'm convinced is what got her back so quickly.
And again, I want to make it clear too. This isn't like Nate's program isn't just driven off of just soccer. It's all sports. It's boys. It's girls. It's not just Arsenal. It's not just ECNL or DA. It's any level. Any if your kid just as athletic and is playing in youth sports, whether it's t-ball to basketball to volleyball to whatever you think it is, bring them by.
Right.
And he's in Norco.
Where can they follow you on social? You have social media.
Yeah, social media. It's Balance and Movement Fitness.
Okay.
That's on our Instagram.
Okay.
And then it's BAMFit Norco on Facebook.
Okay.
And then our website is balanceandmovementfitness.com.
Okay, yeah, and he's in Norco, right off the 15 on in between Hidden Valley and 2nd Street, right by the LA Fitness. There's a Wahoo's. It's across from Target, so it's real accessible off of the freeway, real easy to find. Why Norco? Are there more ACL tears in Norco or something?
No, this is funny. I've gotten asked this question so often, and really when looking to see what clubs did I want to get into with soccer, I really wanted to get in with Arsenal.
Yep.
And I would still love to get in with Legends. They're they're big clubs.
Yep.
And they have good programs, but I thought we could make a difference in those clubs.
Right.
But what we're seeing, we also have BYSC athletes coming in. We have Empire athletes coming in, and now we have SoCal Blue athletes coming in.
Okay.
And so for us, I live in Fullerton. It takes me an hour and 15 minutes every day to get here with the traffic.
And this is after your job at Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah, this is after Cal
Yes.
State Fullerton.
Jeez.
But it's just one of the things, honestly, it's like, it's a passion that I have. And hopefully that's what you were able to see the first night when you came in here, whether it's doing an evaluation on the treatment table or doing the presentation. It's a passion that I want to be able to give back to the community and just help. And if we can make a difference, and like for me, we've just passed our 1 year mark, and I'm like, if I can change one athlete's life, then it was worth the entire thing.
The whole thing,
Right.
exactly.
Yes.
That's what we figure. We have one listener that listens to something we said,
Exactly.
and it paid off. Then
Then it was
by all
worth
means,
it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like this is
Exactly.
just a passion for us too, and
Yep.
you got to respect anybody that get on the 91 freeway in the
Right.
afternoon and drive.
Yes.
Exactly.
This way.
Sometimes
Yep.
I think it's crazy,
Definitely a passion. So, but
Real
yes.
cool. Go ahead.
What?
Oh, I was going to say before we go, because I think we're getting ready to wrap up.
Yeah.
As far as the test is concerned, one thing I want the listeners to realize and tell their kids when they bring them in is don't try to cheat the test.
Yeah.
Don't try to, you're thinking, hey, I'm really going to concentrate and I'm
Not
maybe
gonna
not
bend
going to
my knee
move
and- yeah.
the way that I normally move. Well, in reality, you're only cheating yourself.
Right.
Because, if it's bad, there is a bad score, but it's not like that person's bad.
Right.
You want to know what your true score is so you can improve upon that.
Correct.
It doesn't make any sense to come here and try to cheat the movements.
Right.
And so you score 40 and you can go home and brag or something like that.
Right. I try to tell the athletes when they come in, go through what you would normally do. I always have a video up on the monitors just to see, okay, this is what we're looking for. Now you go ahead and go through, if it's deceleration, how do you decelerate? And I have athletes, they'll do it once, twice, and they're like, oh, can I do it again? Okay, let's do it again. If you didn't feel comfortable, okay, same thing like on the triple hop test. If they're like, oh, that one was bad. Okay, let's see. And we just look at I try to look to see what's their natural movement look like.
Right.
So
When before we go, we always like to do a little tidbit, takeaway for players and parents. What's 2 things a player could do right now to kind of help themselves, whether it's a stretch or something they could just bring part of their daily routine just to help them out?
I think what I tell everyone, stretching, if you look at stretching, just where some people are frown upon stretching, I think stretching is such an important part to any warm-up. But I tell everyone, I'm like, stretching should just be implemented into your activities of daily living. Wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, stretch.
Right.
Where it just becomes part of it, where you don't have 12-year-olds, 13, 14-year-olds that really can't, they go to stretch their hamstring on a sit and reach test, and they can't even get past their knees.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So it's something that, there's some people that don't have as good of flexibility, but if you just work on it over a period of time, flexibility is it's gonna help. It does reduce injuries, takes stress off your back, takes stress off your knees. That would be the one thing. Just implement stretching every day.
And don't bounce when you stretch, right?
That's a ballistic stretch. So we recommend doing a static stretch, but normally you do a stretch, you can do your stretch a little bit before you warm up, but normally you should have a good 5 to 10 minute warm up where you're sweating before you start to stretch. So if it's brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, you're probably not stretching, but yes. I'm wanting to implement it into your activities of daily living.
Maybe when they're brushing their teeth, they can be like jogging in place.
Jogging
or
in
something.
place,
Yeah.
as long as you don't choke.
Yes.
Just don't swallow that toothpaste.
Right.
Before we leave, I want to just say thank you so much for coming out here, trusting us. I wanted to also say that with our staff, so it's myself, I'm a certified athletic trainer, Allie White, she's a kinesiologist, movement specialist, Barbie Gill-Alviso, she's a certified athletic trainer, and now our newest addition is Erica Gonzalez. She's a certified athletic trainer, and so she's the one that is actually covering ECNL soccer games and academy games and practices.
All right.
Okay, great.
So those are the four of us. If any of you stop in here, that you may see in here on any given night.
Yeah, so I mean it's a good resume for everybody. Everyone's got degrees and are certified trainers and whatnot, so it's not just your average Joe Schmo gym, So and if you see any of the guys at the field or girls at the field with the BAM Fitness on, if you're at Galloway or at Silver Lakes or Norco College, just come up to Nate or come up to Allie or anyone and just
say hi.
Have a
introduce yourself.
Yep. I heard about you on SDR.
Yeah,
yes.
Heard about us on SDR. And again, I just want to, it's 1295 Hamner Avenue, right?
Correct, Suite B.
So it's 1295 Hamner Avenue, Suite B in Norco, just for anybody that wants the address. And again, socials is balanceandmovementfitness.com.
Correct.
And then
Balance
Facebook was Balance and Movement Norco.
Yeah. No, it's Bam Fit
Bam
Norco
Fitness.
is Facebook, and then Instagram is Balance and Movement Fitness.
Okay, yeah,
All
and
right.
hop on there and you'll see a little bit of what we were talking about with the videos and the girls. Strong stuff. So
For sure.
it's good stuff you're doing there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just want to thank you so much for your time, Nathan,
Yeah.
and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you both.
Yep.
And you can follow us on all the socials.
Which is what?
Soccer Dad Radio. Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook,
YouTube, all that good stuff.
And the interweb
At
soccerdadradio.com.
And it's getting cold, so I think we're going to have new sweatshirts coming.
Yes, I think so.
We have stickers out, so if you see us,
Ask us for some stickers.
because we definitely have plenty of stickers.
Yes.
But we're going to try, maybe we'll get a store up and get the sweatshirts. I've had a couple of people ask. I know we've been giving
I've
them
had
away.
people ask too.
We've
Yep.
given a lot of stuff away, and we have no problem giving stuff away. If you see us, if we happen to have shirts or something with us, then just come say hi and do that. But until next time,
We're signing off.
thanks,
We
guys.
out.